Hey everybody, welcome to episode 220 of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. We're going to have a fun little show today because we've been so serious lately with all these great authors we've been having on. So we thought, hey, let's just do a nice, fun, easy show for us. I'm Tom Hunyadi, one of your two co-hosts, and hopefully you know me from my other show, Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. If you're not checking it out, you should be. So go to the YouTube channel and check it out. I'm joined by, as always, my partner in crime, my backwards traveler, the other leg, anything you want to call him. He's got a couple nicknames. He is Andy Nichols. Andy, my friend, what's going on?
All good nicknames. Maybe some people have some bad ones for me, but that's okay too. I'm well.
Yeah,
Hi,
piss on
buddy.
him. Piss on him. Hey,
That's
how you
right.
doing?
All right. Gonna take a page out of our kid's book.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Or one of
Or
these,
yeah. I'm well and happy to just do a really kind of fun, quick one because, as you say,
Yeah.
we've knocked it out of the park with some really great guests over the last few weeks. John Blaney, and most
Yes.
recently Peter Doggett. So, and thank you for
We
everybody
got to take a break from the reading every once in a while, It's just, I mean,
yeah,
because we're doing more reading right now. I mean, before for the next couple authors that we'll
yeah,
have on in the future. But it's nice just to
yeah.
settle down and not have the pressure of
You know,
making sure
try to read these books, try to, get new books,
right,
read them, go back to old books and, review them like we did with
review
Peter
them
Doggett's book.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
we,
like you said, I mean, thank you everyone that checked that episode out. That was a lot of fun doing, and we're gonna have Peter back on again in the future, and that was just a great time. Good job on you getting them. Good score, buddy.
thank you. Yeah. And, people wanted to know, were we going to ask him about the Prisoner of Love book? We did not want to ask him about that. So
Yeah.
that's a
Well,
battle for
the
another
thing
day.
is, yeah, right, exactly, and it's for him to tell that story, that should be on his terms.
Yeah.
And then when he's ready, maybe next time we have him on, he'll talk about he'll feel comfortable about talking about it in the
Mm.
future and go from there. But fantastic gentleman. Uh, you know, like Blaney, he's got a good sense of humor as well. We had some good laughs in that episode, and that was a lot of fun. So,
Yeah,
um,
came
but
across well, and I know Peter hasn't done a whole lot of appearances on podcasts, so it was nice to have him back on. And of course, he had a new book to push, so it was Sex in the
that's right,
1960s, which is a current book. What's in his, if you're
right,
interested, and there's some Beatle connections to it, so check it out. He's a
right.
great
It was
author, and
really,
yeah, he
yeah,
wrote
and
for
it was
the Beatles Monthly
that's right,
magazine, so he's
that's
connected
right.
to Lewison and all of them.
That's right. And while we were talking about his latest book about in England where it was fashionable for older men to marry younger women, and we forgot to mention. I mean, what John's and Paul's dad both married younger women, didn't they? Later on in life.
Second go around, yeah, much younger. Freddie
Yeah,
marrying Pauline,
much younger.
uh, and Jim Mack
Hmm.
marrying Angie. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Angie. Yeah. Yeah, so interesting topic. And maybe I'll check that book out sometime in the future. But in news, we did
yeah.
the Dolly Parton cover, "Let It Be," finally
hmm
came out.
What'd you think?
Um, you know, I mean, I listen to me. I just listened to it on my phone, so I really didn't get a good sense of it. So I need to play it again on headphones or whatever. But I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was a nice rendition. Um, and Peter Frampton doing the guitar solo, Ringo on drums, Mick Fleetwood on percussions, and Paul doing backing vocals. I don't recall if he was playing bass on that as well.
Hmm.
I'll have to look that up. But
I mean, I don't think it's going to get anything more than it's not going to get a physical release, right? I don't think it's going to get a physical. You're just going to be able to hear it on your
oh
phone.
yeah, no. I mean, that's going to be released on CD and vinyl.
Is it?
That album. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a double
I mean,
double album.
will you buy it?
You know,
I'm not buying it.
That's the thing. I
I'll
mean,
listen to it once or twice, and that's it.
right. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, as collectors as well as avid listeners of McCartney's, you say one thing, and then the next thing you know, you got it in your hand at the store, in the checkout, lane buying it. So, I mean, I'm not going to say no, I won't buy it, but as of right now, really don't have any intentions. I'm buying. I am curious. I think she does do a duet with Olivia Newton-John as well, and everybody out there knows I'm a
Oh boy,
huge
you're happy.
Olivia.
You're
And
happy.
supposedly that was the last thing she recorded before she died. So,
Was it really?
yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of curious to hear that. But today's show, like we
Uh,
said, is it's going to be a. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
One other new related Beatles
Yeah.
world
Oh, yeah.
news
That's
thing.
right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the I don't know, third or fourth or fifth or 10th Ringo EP.
Fourth.
What's it
Fourth.
called? Fast forward, rewind forward.
Rewind forward.
I'm
Yeah.
going to defer to you on this. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so the song, the first single for the EP, 4-song EP, Rewind Forward, dropped a couple weeks ago. As this episode probably won't drop for a week and a half or so. But anyways, as we're recording, what is the 27th or 28th of August?
7th,
As we're
yeah.
recording,
So
27th. Yeah,
but this is dropping obviously on the 9th. So
right, right. So, but yeah, that single has been dropped, and I gotta tell you, it's very uninspiring. More of the same old from Ringo, and I'm gonna try to be as positive as possible while being negative, but it's just not a good song in my opinion.
I know that there's a
I mean,
McCartney written song on that EP.
there's
I'll
a car,
listen to
Feel
it
the
just.
Sunlight.
I'll
I
listen to
believe
that
it's called.
song
Yeah.
because Paul wrote it, and and it'll probably
Yes.
be that. That'll be it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because we review these things on Talk More Talk as well. So I mean, I'll definitely get the 40 or the EP because because I get everything that comes out for the most part. Um, but I just didn't care for the song. I know there's a lot of people out there that like it, and I'm happy for you if you enjoy it. That's great. But for me, I mean, just singing about the same thing over and over and over again is just, getting tiresome. And plus, when he sings, rewind forward, it has nothing to do with the song. It feels forced. That part, that lyric, rewind forward. It feels forced in that song. It just doesn't make any sense for that line to be in that song. But anyways, but yeah, I am looking forward to hearing what the McCartney song. I kind
Yeah.
of have a feeling it's going to be in a reggae style song. I don't know this, but I just have a feeling.
Do you have a feeling, Tom? A
I've
feeling
got a
deep inside?
feeling. It keeps me on my toes. But I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing it. Look. It could either be in the 6 o'clock camp, or it can be in the attention camp. So I'm kind of looking, or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's just my thoughts on that particular song, and
And maybe
yeah.
by the time this is posted, Paul will have announced some more tour dates. We know that
Yeah, because he did announce
Brazil,
Mexico City. Yeah, no, was it Mexico City or Brazil?
Mexico City, Mexico City. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's going to be a massive show. Really curious to see what the set list is going to be like in for the Australia shows. Our girl on the scene, Joan Borelli, is going, so we'll try to find time with her to get the first reactions of this new leg of this ongoing tour since 2002 that he's been touring pretty much nonstop.
Yep.
Yep. So, and that's a good thing. I mean, I know we all want him to not tour and really concentrate on studio albums,
Making records. Yeah.
but yeah, making records. But you know what? He's putting a lot of people to work, going out on these tours.
You know this firsthand. This is your
Yeah,
field. You know what
yeah.
goes into a production for an event. You know it. You know what it
It's
entails. So
exactly.
how many
I mean,
people would you imagine are employed by a world tour, in your professional opinion?
oh, I mean, let's
When you
just
factor in everything, the
this.
staging, the lighting, the cater, all that stuff. How many?
this Beyonce tour that's going on right now, that we're just I'm not working it later on today actually. 500 people
Oh,
on tour for this show. 500
right.
for one show, So that's every day that they're traveling. That's I mean that's a lot of expenses right there. And that's why they play the stadiums. The more people they pack in, the more money they make. And plus, she probably got her pay ahead of time, up front. That's
Mm.
how a lot of these things happen. So people get the money up front, or they get a show by show, whatever. But yeah, it's insane to see a stage get it takes like 3 or 4 days for the stage to go up, and then 20 less than 24 hours for them to take it down. So it's pretty interesting
Yeah, a lot
to
of
see it
that. Our
happen.
Paul, he employs a lot of people, and hey,
Yeah,
it's more people that get a chance to see him that have never seen him. So we thought he was done. He's not,
exactly.
and here we
He
go
loves
into.
Australia. He loves, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if there's any deep cuts that he does just for the
Let's see
Australia
if he
crowd.
throws "Ode to a Koala Bear" in the set list for Australia. No shot.
No shot whatsoever is
I
he going
do
to
like
play "Ode to a Koala
how his
Bear."
social media pages though are dropping little musical hints though. When you look at his story, and you
Right.
hear a snippet of a song of the city where he's going to be, like
Mm,
when he announced Mexico, you heard little bits
right.
of "Backseat of My Car." That was
In the
cool.
car. Right. Mm,
That was
hmm.
pretty cool. So he drops you, and then I think he was back in Brazil for one of them too,
Yeah.
for some of those other dates. So it's he's good at some of those hints, and still no announcement in Beatle World News. We're just going to sit. We're not going to speculate on that. If you want to watch that, you
Mm.
can watch a 2.5 hour marathon video on Ken Michaels' channel where seven of us talked about it. But we're not going to devote any more time to that on this. But there's no news there either.
Right. Right. And like you said, we're not going to sit here and speculate when this red and blue
Whatever.
will be
At this point,
released or
it's like
whatever.
whatever it is. Whatever.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, we never were gonna do that anyway. So,
No. But we did on Ken's
but
show. So go over to Ken
we
Michaels
did
and
on
watch that.
Kenshin. Yes, go over to Ken Michaels' show, and Andy and I we did a episode with Ken and Rick Glover, fans on the Run Glover, Joe Mayo, Kid O'Toole, ourselves. And we talked about things we want to see released from the camps, right?
Mm-hmm.
John, Paul, George, Ringo camps, and Beatles camps, if that's what you thought should be released. So and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, 2.5 over 2 hours of us
God, it was
just shooting.
Godfather esque.
Yeah, you can either watch The Godfather or you could watch, you know, us talking about
Drop the
releases
gun,
that
leave the
we like.
cannolis. Let's go get the cannolis.
So, but exactly,
Too
absolutely,
funny.
absolutely. But that's it right there for news and whatnot. But like I said, today's going to be a fun one. A friend of yours, or well, a fan of the show, right, suggested that we do something like this, but we kind of changed it. It was what the suggestion was: songs that could have been Beatles songs, and we kind of switched it to songs as good as Beatles songs. Was that what
Yes.
happened?
I don't know that
Mm.
that might have been
All right.
Kyle.
So
That might have been Kyle Hand. I can't remember. Might have
okay.
been. If it-
No,
Um,
no, I don't remember. But you did text the name, but I don't remember
sorry.
the name at the moment. But no, that's all right.
Yeah,
But
what
yeah,
was it?
we kind of switched it a little bit.
Yeah, 15 songs from the 70s that we think are Beatle quality
Right,
level
Beatle-quality.
songs.
That's a good way to put it. And yeah, part one. So we're gonna do the 1970s for this episode, and we'll see how this goes. And if people like this approach, because I think it's going to be somewhat controversial. There'll be some debate on what the songs that we pick for this, because obviously, there's hits, right? That number one hits that
Mm.
are just as good, right, or if not better than some Beatles songs. Okay. And again, we can debate that in the comment section. Might be some people who think that there might be only a small handful of songs from Macca's catalog that are as good as Beatles songs, but that's going to be the debate. This is our opinions. This is what we think. After decades of listening to solo McCartney and the Beatles, I think we have some kind of feel of what we think are great songs, right? And hey,
Yeah.
listen, not every Beatles song was a banger, So
No.
no, okay. So you want to do one at a time or five at a time here? What are you thinking?
Let's do five at a time and chunk them out in,
Let's
in
do
groups of
five.
five.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll
Descending,
start off.
descending to ascending, like 15 through. You want to do that way, or you want to do?
No, I don't know if you have to put them in any kind of order or not, but
All right. I did it chronologically, so I can do them
uh, all right.
mostly if you want to do it that way. But however
Yeah,
you go
sure. Okay,
first.
go ahead and start. Okay, I'll go first. I'll start off with five tracks here that I think are just as good as a Beatles song, and I'm going to start with a song that was a single in the UK, and that's the back seat of my car. Very Beatlesque, I feel, and obviously we know that he was somewhat working on it during the Get Back sessions in January of '69. So that was. I love the Return of the King multiple endings, on this track. It just seems like it's going to end, but no, we've got another bit to the song. But
Mm-hmm.
love that. His first single, "Another Day," I think is just as good as any top-notch Beatles song out there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it tells a story, right? I mean, the Beatles told a lot of stories about women in during the Beatle days. Um, here's a surprise. Some people might not agree with this, but I think "Tomorrow" from Wildlife um, is a good track, especially those backing vocals. And Paul's piano playing, his singing in this song. When I really, again, it's a nice little sunny day story. Let's go
Oh,
out and feel the breeze and get the cheese and hope the weatherman doesn't spoil our plans.
that's
So
right.
it's
Bring a bag of bread and
again, it's a
cheese.
nice little
Yeah.
track. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Number four. This is a powerhouse song, 1985.
Ah.
This song has just been madly in love with this track since the moment I heard this one, and I think it's equally right up there with a lot of the powerful rockers in the later half of Beatles career. And I'll end this first five with again another powerful track, "Live and Let Die." This I think song is number two hit here in the states, and it's just as good. I don't think anybody can deny "Live and Let Die" as being as good as any Beatles song.
Live and Let Die in 1985 are really kind of very close. They're like distant
Yeah,
cousins. They're
yeah.
very thematic. You could hear 1985 being used in a movie. You could.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that they share a lot of commonalities. Those two tracks, they really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good choice there for your opening
Yeah.
five. Um,
Thank.
my five, it's kind of going to go. I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm going to kind of go in reverse order. Although I will say "Live and Let Die," I match you up with that. I'm going to go
Okay.
from kind of late 70s, all then work my way down. "Live and Let Die."
Okay.
I went with "I'm Carrying" from London Town.
I had a feeling you would pick that song.
I'm carrying. Good Beatles, good Beatle vibes all over that song.
And not to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
just to for like a little small preview for our second episode of the Paul and George relationship kind of show. I mean, George is quoted as saying that he really really liked that track, and
yeah.
that'll be part of part two with Owen Ling.
Yes, so I'm carrying. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not surprised that I know you're not surprised I had that on there. Um,
Right.
yeah, "Live and Let Die." I'm carrying. London Town. Paul is great writing about ordinary people. He did it in the Beatle days. London Town, I think, would have,
Hmm.
that's Paul's strong suit. Writing about the average person. This is what he does.
Right.
He does well. I think that would have worked well in a Beatle like quality setting. London Town.
Eleanor Rigby.
Right. London Town, I think, would have been fine as a Beatle track. One, two, three. I'm gonna go with pop, pure pop with "Let 'Em In" from Wings to Beat a
Yeah.
Sound.
Okay.
Good poppy song, and I'll wrap up my first five with the classic, joining two songs together thing that he does often a lot. "Treat Her Gently," "Lonely Old People." I think that would have been a
Mm.
good album closer on a late period Beatles album, I think that would have worked too. You know,
Right.
for a Beatles,
It
definitely
would
Beatle quality type songs.
it would be interesting to see the direction that they would have went in. If they were still record made music in the '70s, would it be partly just as poppy as the stuff McCartney did throughout the '70s, or would it be
Hmm.
more hard edge like a Live and Let Die or 1985? I seem to think that it would be all over the place. I mean, with their interests, right? um Hearing George do a song with slide guitar on a Beatles track, in the '70s, and not necessarily, we know what we got from Free as a Bird, right? But
Right,
in Real Love. But it would have been interesting to hear it on a Beatles track
on a
in the
Beatles track.
'70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know we've always like we used to make mixtapes back in the day. I haven't done it, or we can make
Yeah.
playlists now. But making, and John always said that if you want a Beatles album, just take all of our tracks and throw them on a tape, and there's your Beatles
Right.
album. I mean, how many people actually did that out there? Did you? You did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We did that. My uncle and I, we did,
Of
70 to
just the solo
75, and
music,
then
right? You did just
yeah,
solo
yeah,
music, right?
exactly, just solo music. We did 70 to 75 in 1980. And then I think we did a kind of like a 89-ish type CD as well.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say would all these songs sound the same if they were still together. My gut is probably not. They would have been. They just wouldn't have been. They would have been. You've got a lot of different musicians on all these tracks.
Right.
Paul going for a totally different sound than the Beatles for a lot of it. He wanted to do something.
Yes.
He didn't want to carbon copy the Beatles. That's why those first couple albums were panned, because they just expected Abbey Road, and he was like, I'm trying a new direction. So to
Right.
think that how would these all sound as Beatles songs? It's a hypothetical. We don't know, but
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you'd have to think that some of these songs could have stayed true to how they ended up in their solo careers. I mean, if John, let's say if the Beatles were together and John brought Steel and Glass, to the sessions, I don't see how it would have been much different
yeah.
to how it ended up, on Walls and
I
Bridges.
think John and George's songs, for the most part, would have stayed true to what they were as writers. I don't think they would have deviated
Right.
much. Paul is where things changed, because he went in such a different direction. I think John and George,
Right.
as
Good point.
songwriters, were like, "This is what we are. Here's where it's going to
Yeah.
be." So I think their songs would not have changed a lot.
Hmm.
Obviously, God, and you're not going to have God on a Beatles album, but you could hear Instant Karma or Power to the People or
Right.
Imagine on a Beatles album easily.
Well, yeah, and the point, yeah, and if we were a Lennon podcast, we probably would have said God was just as good as any Beatles track.
Mm.
And but yeah, would it have been a Beatles song? Never. And that's why we kind of changed it up, because we wouldn't have been able to include certain songs, you know.
Right. That's why we did this
So
version of
yeah,
it instead of the other
right,
way. Yeah. So let's
right.
hear your
So
next five, partner.
okay, so going with number 6, and that's the top 5 hit, Junior's Farm. Again, great rocker. I could see the band having a field day with this if they were still a band, but I think this is right up there with the good heavy rockers from the Beatles. Going back to Band on the Run, Jet is just a fantastic track. More horns in a Beatles song or in a Beatles track is a good thing. A la Savoy Truffle or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I think George would have been all for that. But yeah, Jet I think is just as good as any top notch Beatles songs. A lot of people will consider this one the creme de la creme. Right out of the gate. Maybe I'm amazed. Some people might consider this his best song of all time. I know a lot of people consider this just as good as anything he would have done with the Beatles, right up there with Let 'Em It, or not Let 'Em It, but Let It Be, Long and Winding Road, all that stuff from the later period of the Beatles. I don't know if this would have ended up if this was a Beatles song, I don't know, but I think this is just as good, and that's "Arrow Through Me."
Mm.
Just love the love his singing. I do like the synth work on this one. I mean,
Oh,
it's you know, it's really good. And this one might be the most controversial on the list, but we know Paul loved his granny music, and so did John. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I'm gonna go Baby's Request. Now I could have gone with you gave me the answer, but the more of the big band type feel. But I
uh
like the
huh.
jazziness more of Baby's Request. So that's why I kind of went with that one. And yeah, Baby's Request I think is excellent, and I love it just as much as I love the great Beatles songs.
So two tracks from Back to the Egg so far make your
Two
list.
tracks, yes.
Interesting. Okay, I don't want to say I don't have any from Back to the Egg on my list, so I was wondering
Okay.
what you were going to pick if you were, um,
Hmm.
because that's such a it's an album that is just like kind of so together. Like to pull it
Right.
apart is tough. Like London Town, you can. Back to the Egg is such a concept work of art. To try to pull tracks out of it. If you could arrow through me, which you did, which was
Right.
a good pull.
And right. And even something like maybe Love Awake.
Winter Rose, Love
Maybe you
Awake.
could. Yeah, you can extract out of that,
Yeah,
but yeah, not too many songs that you could pick out
not
of
from
that
that
one.
album. No.
Yeah.
All right. So that was your
All
next
right.
five.
That was my next five. So how about your next
All
five,
right,
buddy?
next five here. Let's see, one, two, three, four. All right, so three of them you said already. Let me see.
Okay.
No, two of them you said already. I'm gonna go with Jet for the same reasons.
Yep.
The horns, that just the pop, the pure perfection of, pop perfection of Jet easily would have fit on a Beatle album. And the title track, Band on the Run, kind of maybe over like kind of an afterthought, but yeah, I'm not. Then
Mm.
obviously it's the "If We Ever Get Out of Here" thing, which was written because of the whole Apple thing, and George said
Right.
it. So it would again, you play that game,
It
but
would
I
have never
think
been a Beatles song, but it's just as good as a
it's
Beatles
just
song.
as good as a Beatles song. Three, Junior's Farm, for all the reasons you said. One of the
Hmm.
again, it's in the top five of all time McCartney songs and anybody's. The band would be rocking on that. And then here's a little bit of a far pull. I'm going to go to Red Rose Speedway, shocker, and pull "Get on the Right Thing."
No, I like that pick. I
Uh,
do like that pick.
"Get on the Right Thing," I think has a nice groove to it. I think it would have worked well. I think that could have been fine on, you know, like a Let It Be or even an Abbey
Mhm.
Road, because his vocals
Mm,
are just screaming on that song,
agree.
jamming out. And I'm going to round up my next top five with the song you mentioned earlier, which I had a feeling you would say, and that's "Tomorrow" from Wildlife.
Mm,
That's in the "I'm carrying" vein of, just really
right.
like works well as a pop song and could be on any Beatles album from like,
Mm,
I would say from like
yeah.
Rubber
Hard Day's
Soul,
Night.
I would
Rubber
say
Soul.
from
Yeah.
like Rubber
Yeah.
Soul on,
Right.
you could put "Another Day," "Tomorrow," or
Right.
"I'm Carrying" on any of those albums. Maybe not "Pepper," but it,
True.
it,
Fair.
it,
Yeah.
they could slot in anywhere. So yeah, "Tomorrow" was an easy one.
Yeah, I did consider Get on the Right Thing for a little while as I was trying to make out this list.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean I think what I have here it's synced in, it's set in stone, but that would have been an honorable mention for sure. I think that's a good pick. Get on the Right Thing.
Yeah. All right.
Um, all right, my final five on this one, and I, as tired as I am of this track, but Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey, I think the craftsmanship, I mean, I think it reeks Beatleness on
Oh,
that,
100%.
the same way like Yellow Submarine, would have been, but yeah, for the craftsmanship of it, and joining smaller fragments of songs together as they did in the band. I think that's right up there. This I think this one would have fit perfectly on Let It Be, and that's Every Night. I think this is
Good
you know
pull.
you know great acoustic track, as good as any acoustic track, I think.
What Beatle
From,
album,
from
and not to interrupt you, what Beatle album do you think
yeah.
Uncle Albert would have fit best on?
Oh, Abbey Road, for
Abbey
sure.
Road, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Abbey Road. Or whatever they would have done after that. I mean, if they would have continued that kind of style of recording. I mean, obviously, as the soundboards got bigger, the
The
tapes are
mixers.
the
Yeah.
mixers, the multi tracks. As all that stuff got bigger and bigger. I really think that they would have you know did a very good job. On Uncle
That's
Albert
why
at
you
the Halsey.
marvel what the
But
Beatles did. They did all this stuff in
yeah,
four track, and then 8 track. Yeah. And in the early
right.
'70s, you get up. I think the 16 track became
16,
16
right,
was the track. They
right.
did all this music and all these sounds with just 4 track for most of their career. The amount of work on you had 4 tracks to bounce all this stuff
Four
down to.
tracks.
4 tracks. It's why the legacy remains intact.
Good point. So yeah, every night would be the second in this block. And listen, these next three you can, criticize or debate all you want. But again, I mean, they're all number one songs, and if they were Beatles songs, I think they still would have been number one songs. But they're just as good, in my opinion. Okay, with a little luck. Again, a nut pop perfection for me. Just a wonderful, positive, and a lot of these tracks too are what Beatles songs stood for, right? Love,
Yes.
positivity, great outlooks in life. With a
With
little
a
luck.
little luck, fits the Beatles
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
pastiche of
Yeah.
what they wanted, what they were trying to go for with their music and their sound and their message. So with a
Right.
little luck,
Yes.
everything about that, the optimism fits the Beatle mold of what they were trying to do. It's why you
Mhm.
hear a song like With a Little Luck and you're like, damn, that's as good as a Beatles song.
I think so. I think so. I'm just gonna come out and say it, my love. Whoa, whoa, whoas and all. I think, yeah. See, and again, yeah. See, I can sit right by that facial feature there. I mean, I know that's gonna, you know, some people may disagree with that, and
Hey,
that's fine. But again, this is my list.
if your
This is what,
list, if you think it would
yeah.
have worked, then that's your choice.
I just think it's well. I mean, not that I think it would work, but it's just the fact that I think it's as good as a Beatles track. And look, I mean, the people spoke, right? They bought millions of copies worth of this single, and it was a number one. So
I was
and
wondering
then
where you
last,
were gonna. I was wondering if
yeah,
My Love was gonna work into your list or not. I
right.
was I wasn't sure.
And last but not least, I think is most important, is best single from the '70s, and that's "Silly Love Songs." I think this was the again. I don't know if this track would have worked as a Beatle or in the Beatles canon, but um, I think it's just as poppy as anything they've ever done. I think it's the bass line is as innovative as anything he did with the Beatles. So that I took that under consideration as well. And again, just simple lyrics and it's the same message. I mean, yeah, I mean the others may have criticized them for the song, and a lot of fans may have criticized them for the song, but again, number one track. It got people excited for the U.S.
The
leg
tour.
of the '76 tour, and it's a fantastic track.
And if they try to criticize you, make them
And yeah,
smile. Make them smile. It's
and
true.
what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I actually just watched that live version again the other night. It's one of my favorite just rabbit holes to want late at night to watch that live version of Silly Love Songs with the Rickenbacker
Right.
bass, which is
Yeah.
probably heavier than him now because he doesn't use it anymore. Um,
Right. It's probably triple the weight of
it
the
probably
of the
is.
Hofner.
But you're so right on. I mean, whether that would have worked as a Beatles song, it's on an album, hard to say, but it's as good in terms of like the songwriting quality and performance
Right.
of a Beatles track.
Craftsmanship.
Right. You don't know if it works its way into an album, but the writing and
Right.
the production of the song and the playing of the song is as good as a Beatle track, and I understand
I
why
think. Yeah.
you included it.
Mm. Yeah, so that's my 15. So I'll just go over it one more time. Backseat of my car, Another Day, Tomorrow, 1985, Live and Let Die, Junior's Farm, Jets, Maybe I'm Amazed, Arrow Through Me, Baby's Request, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey, Every Night, With a Little Luck, My Love, Silly Love Songs. Now, I mean, honorable mentions, I could have added Band on the Run like you did. Excuse me, Get on the Right Thing as well. I considered it as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm happy with these 15.
No honorable mention for Girls' School. I don't think that would have been. I don't know if Girls' School wouldn't have
Well,
flown maybe
I,
for the
you
lyrics,
know,
right?
and I also did, yeah, right. And I also did consider Daytime, Nighttime Suffering as well.
Uh,
A track that I've always adored.
right.
Um,
Worthy.
yeah, but I mean, it's definitely better than Wild Honey Pie.
For sure. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Good night tonight. I mean, hell. I mean, Rockestra theme is better than Wild Honey Pie.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I have
Hey,
my
hey,
last.
might be.
Hey,
Hey, hey,
hey.
hey, 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 might be better than Wild Honey Pie.
I would agree with that. I would
Mm,
also say the man is better than Wild Honey Pie, and I'm talking to you, Joe Mayo, who doesn't, who saw I saw in a chat does not like the man.
mm.
Oh well, the man's a good track, and in fact, who I forget what I think it was Peter Doggett said he actually liked that one out of the best out of the
Yes, out
McCartney
of the three
Jackson
McCartney.
collaborations.
Yes,
He liked the man, and I agree with him.
that's correct. That is correct.
So,
Yes,
my
I was
last
kind of
five.
surprised by that.
Yeah, right. I was very surprised. Like,
Yeah,
I was expecting him to say. And he didn't like it. He liked the man. Interesting.
right.
My last
Hmm.
five, easy. You've mentioned, let me see, one, two, three, four of these already, and you're 15.
Okay.
Working my way back, so we're going to the earlier days. Another Day, again, in that Eleanor Rigby mold, easily. And he worked on, that was being worked on during the Get
That's
Back,
right.
Let It Be sessions, as well as Backseat of My Car, for all the reasons you said. I can't add any more to that. Uncle Albert, I think of all the early McCartney songs, that's the first time people were like, that sounds like a Beatles song.
Mm,
I think that's the first time they were like, okay, that's Beatle Paul. When you hear Uncle Albert, all those little
right.
motifs and how the songs connected. We're so sorry, Uncle Albert. Hands across the water. Hell, it even got John Lennon clapping about it. He liked the song.
Right.
So if John liked it, you knew you struck a chord there. So Uncle Albert easily fits that mold. Maybe I'm
Wasn't there
amazed.
this
What?
terrible YouTube video where it says John Lennon singing Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey, or something like
There's
that?
a
It's
there's a
it's a
couple
fake
YouTube.
video.
But that's the
Yeah,
30th birthday party up in Syracuse, New
yeah,
York, where they're listening to bits of Ram. And you hear him singing. A bunch of them
yeah.
singing "Hands Across the Water," and you can hear
Right,
John
right,
doing that. There's
right.
also a
Now, is
little
that
bit.
is that actual recording or is that
Yes,
fake?
that's real.
Okay.
So is
Okay.
the there's a recorded interview of John singing a couple of lines of "Too Many People" in the backseat of my car. Have
Mm.
you heard that?
No, no, I'll
That's
have to check
yeah.
that out.
He I'll send you the link. It's funny. He's singing the lines of "Too Many People," going, "That was your first mistake," and he's like, whose mistake? What lucky break? He's singing the line, and then the backseat of my car.
Right.
He's going, "We believe that we can't be wrong," and he thinks it's about Paul's talking about him and Yoko, which on that case
Right.
he probably was. I'll send you the link. It's fascinating. Listen,
Right.
where that interview was from, I don't know, but the hands across the water bit, that's legit. That was the 30th birthday party in Syracuse in 1970 or 31st birthday party in 71. That's a real
Mm.
tape. Check your Lennonology book, but
Yes.
that's legit. Um,
Okay.
Last two, maybe I'm amazed. Enough said. No
Yeah.
no words needed. And my last one, I thought you might have it on your list, but you didn't. And it was going to be a Beatles song, but it was scrapped. And that's "Junk" from the McCartney
Junk.
album.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
no, I've considered that and Teddy Boy. Just because of the fact that the history of those two tracks. I considered those two as well. But I think Every Night is
every
the
night
better.
too. Every night
Yeah.
could have been an easy, good pull. With Let Every Night. Every night could have been right on Let It Be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Junk, I think
But
Junk fits. You could slide Junk right into the White Album, no problem.
right. But I tend to enjoy sing along junk more these days,
Yeah.
just because of the instrumentation
Hmm.
on that track. I think it's top notch. Probably maybe his best instrumental. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and look, they were worked on. I mean, they could. It was possible that
Easter
those would have been
demos,
Beatles.
it was going to
Yeah,
be worked. Teddy Boy, Junk, all these songs, Another Day, Backseat of My Car, these fragments of
car. Right.
songs that were done in 68, 69 while the Beatles were still together. You heard them come out a couple years later,
Mhm.
and that's why they're on this list. So I'll just recap 15 to 1. For me,
Right.
Live and Let Die, I'm Carrying, London Town, Let 'Em In, Treat Her Gently, Jet, Band on the Run, Junior's Farm, Get on the Right Thing, Tomorrow, Another Day, Backseat of My Car, Uncle Albert, Maybe I'm Amazed, and Junk for my
Mm.
1570s songs
Yeah.
that were as good or could be Beatles songs.
Yeah. So we got a good chunk of the same songs. I mean, and a good
I
chunk
think we matched up on
different songs too.
7. We matched up on 7
That's
of
great.
out of the 15.
Great. Yeah. So half and half. That's awesome.
Yeah, no surprise.
Now, you guys listening or watching in the comment section, remember these are songs that we think are as good as Beatle tracks. So if you come up with your list, let us know in the comment section, and and we'll definitely check that out and respond if we if we like those picks. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and if you guys like this, we'll continue with part two. We'll do the
That
80s
80s one might
sometime
be
in the.
tougher. 80s ones might be
Well, it will
tougher.
be tougher.
That's going to be a
I mean,
lot.
I know we can at least do 10. At least 10.
We could do 10. 15's a
Right.
stretch, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could we do it? Yeah, but we might get some
Right.
tomatoes thrown at our face if with some of these 80s choices.
Right. That's true. But just off the top, I'm thinking of 5 right off the top of
Oh
my
my
head.
god.
You
I know
know,
what I know.
so-
I already know what your number one's going to be. I already know.
Well, Ringo is on it. So George Martin does produce it.
Of
But
course,
anyways.
we know. So
Yeah.
stay. We'll do that one in a few weeks in the 80s one. But
Yeah.
10 we can think of. 15. We'll have
It
to
might
see.
be a stretch. It might be.
I'll tell you what,
but-
though, to do it in the 90s, that's going to be even harder because there's less albums to work with.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's why I'm thinking maybe we do the
80s,
80s and then
90s?
80s, 90s. Maybe we can combine and then combine the last 2 decades or 3 decades or whatever.
Yeah, maybe we
it
do an
was,
80s, 90s combo,
2000s. Yeah, 80s, 90s combo and then 2000s combo.
and then the one that does all the last
Yeah.
23 years. Yeah, probably a better
Yeah.
idea. Because
Yeah.
you've got
Yeah,
plenty
that's
of
a good
studio
idea.
albums in the 80s, but then you've only got 2 studio
Right.
albums in the 90s.
But then you got all those great tracks off of Flaming Pie. You know, that's but we'll definitely get 15 if we include the 90s.
If
Sure.
if we include the 90s, we can definitely round it out to 15. But
Agreed.
if not,
Agreed.
Tug of Peace might have to sneak its way into it. No, I didn't say that. Or maybe,
Hope you didn't say that.
or bogey music.
Oh. Hey, look. I mean, coming up. Come on, you can't tell me that's not as good as the Beatles track. Tell me, people,
John
tell
loved
me
it.
out there. I defy you,
Yeah.
implore you to tell. Whatever.
Any
Anyways.
time there's any recorded history of Lennon loving a McCartney song, just file it away. That's
Right.
that's going to be, it's on there, and there are a couple of cases, Band on the Run, a couple of Paul songs where he gave praise and he was like actually pretty good. So coming up, it would have to be on there.
I think so. Anyways, but that's just a little preview of
Little
that,
preview,
but
just a little
a little
hint.
preview of that. Right. But again, don't forget, leave in the comments section. If you have 10, 15, if you think there's more than 15 tracks that you think are as good as McCartney tracks that are as good as Beatles tracks, let us know.
Give us a ring.
We'll check that out. Give us a ring. Absolutely. Anyways, so that's going to do it for this episode of Two Legs, episode 220. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Two Legs Podcast. You can email us at twolegspodcast@gmail.com. Please check out the YouTube channel and consider subscribing to that. Our subscriptions continue to grow for our YouTube channel, and we want to keep that momentum going. So please consider subscribing to that. Check out my other channel, Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. Check out Andy's other channel, The Other Leg, right? And because that's where you're going to hear Andy talk about all the other music that he loves, and that's a great little channel as well. I do have my other channel, Tom's Movie Channel. That's on hold for the time being. I do have a few videos up there if you want to check that out. But Andy, anything else you want to comment on before we sign off?
You nailed it all, brother. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next week with a another new episode. So everybody out there, take care. And as I say, have a great day and a beautiful night. So long.
See ya.
You've been listening to Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, hosted by Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols, with musical contributions by Dylan